Hello and welcome to Light Vibes Coaching. My name is Ida Victoria and I am a certified feminine power coach with the Progressive Love Academy. I support women and men in creating peace, cultivating intimacy, and expanding pleasure in their lives and long-term partnerships. And today I have a very, very special treat. Corina Nare, who is one of my Corina Nare is a mother, a grandmother, although she doesn't look like it, an Air Force veteran, author, and she has been a certified life coach since 2013. That's 7 years, guys. She is a transformation and feminine empowerment coach who has supported countless women, and I've observed her do this work, countless women in becoming a more desired version of themselves. Corina has made a lifelong study of relationship dynamics, manifestation, and the inherent power of the feminine, which we'll be diving into later on. She's also certified in Reiki healing, and she performs goddess oracle reading. So if you want some real insight on your lives and what the truth about what's going on, talk to her. I'll make sure I share a link later. She's been a coach at Progressive Love Academy for 3 years. And while she's done that, she's ushered women into the fullest expression of their authenticity, which is, again, why we're here today. So without further ado, welcome, Corina.
Thank you.
How are you? How you feeling?
I'm doing well. I feel amazing. Like, I'm so grateful to be here with you. Like, we have our group, the Butterflies. Like, I love watching you and experiencing you, in your femininity and in your power. Like, that is such an honor for me to just be able to, experience you from the fringes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Little do you know, or maybe you do know because I may have shared it with you before, I think we're both Scorpio moons and Leo rising. So when I watch you from afar, I'm seeing my reflection. And so that's one of the reasons why I was like, you were my first interview for my podcast. And I really, this is an honor to talk about you and your work and the work we've been doing together over the last year, which is amazing to me.
Isn't it crazy that it's been a year? That is so mind-blowing to me.
Yeah. And we are completely different women than we were 365 days ago.
Absolutely.
And one of those reasons, of course, has been because you authored a book.
I did.
This is The Accidental Goddess, Honoring the Inherent Power of the Feminine. And when I saw this title, I was just like, before I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, I got it. When I bought the book, it was sitting on my dresser for I think about a month, because I was like, when I dive into this, I know I'm going to get that work. I know I'm going to have to start looking at myself and looking in the mirror and I'll let you get into that. Actually, I'll let you talk about it. What inspired the title and who was the Accidental Goddess? How did you come about writing this book and tapping into the inherent power of the feminine?
So there have been so many times where I've shared my story or parts of my story with women over the years. And I saw what they pulled from it. And so there just came a point in time where I was like, how dare you keep allowing people to draw the power of your story without telling it in its totality and without claiming and owning the power, of your own story and your own experiences. Yeah. So what I recognized is, of course, it's not an accident. But, I'm just moving along through life and just these different aspects of myself that I'm dropping and that I'm gaining, and I'm becoming, this goddess that I didn't know that's what the journey was. So, for me, it was accidental. And now I know that it was the intention all along. Mm-hmm. But so that's where, the name of the book comes from, is that, it is, of course, this intentional journey. Nothing is by accident as far as I'm concerned. But I didn't know that I had set the intentions, I had laid these breadcrumbs for myself, so that I could find this journey. And it just led me to this place where I understand myself truly as a goddess who can create every aspect of my experience here on this earth.
So let's talk about that a little bit, accidents versus alchemy. And I don't want to give away the secrets of the book, but that part of the book at the end of every chapter, really seeing what the truth, seeing what your ego perceived and then what your higher self actually learned and brought forth and manifested. throughout the book, I saw or read and began to understand the concepts of feminine magnetism and allure, and your ability to tap into your power and your ability to create your life. What I'm seeing, especially now during the pandemic, where we're living in a time of uncertainty, but there are those who are feasting through famine, and it's because they're tapping into their true inherent power. And that's honestly what I saw throughout the book. I was just like, this was her journey. And then at the end, you didn't even give us all of the goodies, because now I want to know more. Like, what happened after Jason?
Right. And see, and that's the second book. I'm working on the second book now. But so that was it, you know, like tapping into, like, that's the alchemy, right? Is being able to look at, like you said, your ego's perception of it and saying, okay, that's what the ego sees and that's what the ego feels, but what is really happening? And when you can look at what is really happening, that's when you can pull the power from any situation. Yeah. And so we talk about, you know, at PLA, we talk about, you know, we have these tenets: no victims, no villains, no shame, no blame, all of these things that put the responsibility of my life back on me. That does not mean that, how do I want to say this? That does not mean that things that have happened to me are my fault, right? Because there's still no fault. But what happened is I created these scenarios for myself so that I could become the woman that I am today. Yeah. So I own all of my experiences, good, bad, ugly, and different. And that's why I wrote, like, I remember after I had the book completed and I looked at the cover and I was like, girl, like, you have told these people your whole business. And I'm like you went into like the depths. Like, I remember my grandmother was like, send me the book. I was like, this ain't a grandmother book, honey. Like, I don't. And then my daughter was like, I bought the book. I was like, oh God.
You're gonna learn something about mom today.
I was like, listen, you about to know your mama on a whole other level. Okay, like, put that book down. But like, my thing is, I had to own my story and my experiences in order to, you know, glean the power, the full, complete power of all of my experiences.
Yes. And when you talked about owning the full power of your experiences and accepting the consequences of your actions, that brings up feminine accountability, which is something that we talk about in the Blue Butterfly Room and at PLA when we're in leader season, and understanding our choice and our ability to decide what works for me and what doesn't. And I do want to tap into, I've got a couple more questions, but I do want to kind of go down a small rabbit hole. In the book, you bring up Christianity, and that part really hit my soul because I'm a pastor's daughter. I was planning on marrying a pastor, and technically my husband is ordained, but we're not in the Christian church anymore. Right. And your ability to set yourself free and live in your feminine and be free, because what I see in the world today is people want women or people to show up as feminine, but they're not offering freedom with that femininity. Right. And the inherent, for me, the message that I received about the inherent power of the feminine was that I can be feminine and I can be free. I can be feminine and live boldly and out loud and not be afraid of my sexuality and my sensuality. And that freedom, that ability to walk in that freedom, that's where the feminine magnetism and the allure and the invitation for what you truly desire comes forth. And that is, I'm telling you, I've got notes upon notes upon notes and full pages from this book, because it's simple and it's through, you're telling stories about your life, but you're leading by example through this book. And that's what I felt here. That's what I felt here. So thank you for that. Do you mind if I read a short quote from the book?
Please do.
This is my favorite part. And I've underlined it in red so I just won't forget.
I love it.
And this is at the end of chapter 8, and it comes from the alchemy portion where you have the accidental lesson and the alchemy lesson. And it says that the true lesson was that my visualizations are one of my superpowers. The more I practiced controlling the thoughts and feelings I focused on, the more I determined what I experienced in my life. And that part about, again, bringing in feminine accountability over my thoughts, over my mind, over what I choose to consume within myself. And
Yes.
that ability to go internal and just, I choose what I think, I choose what I speak, because the world around us is telling us and conditioning us to believe and think certain things about ourselves so that we're inhibited. We can't step into our, if I think that femininity has to be me putting on lipstick and earrings,
Right.
I'm stuck. What if that's not who I am authentically? Go ahead.
And if you notice, like, you talk to people and you hear all the time, well, that's just how I am. I can't help it. That's just how I feel. I can't help it. And I'm like, lies. You know what I mean? Like, it is time out for us allowing the feelings to control us versus us controlling the feelings. I feel whatever I want. I think whatever I want. And when I learned that, you know, because I had to learn that because we're not taught, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that these are things that we should be teaching the little girls as far as how you become a woman. Control your mind, sweetie. It's all within your power. And so when I learned that I can control what I focus on, therefore controlling what I experience, like, for me, that was mind blowing. And it's like you said, it was that feminine accountability where I was like, I can no longer say that things are just happening, especially if I'm allowing them to happen on autopilot and I'm allowing myself to create by default because I'm not taking responsibility for my creations. And so I'm like, even that, I have to take responsibility for. So if I'm going to take responsibility for something, it's going to be for me having what I desire.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that. Let me go to our questions so I don't get too distracted and start, because I'm telling you, we could talk for hours about this book.
Oh, I love it.
Tell me a little bit more about cultivating feminine power and how we do that. Do everything that we just talked about, owning our sexual selves, owning our desires, taking accountability for what it is that we truly want, and then moving through the world with that accountability and making decisions and choices that line up with those desires. How can women cultivate that feminine power within themselves?
So I think the first thing that we have to do as women is get a clear picture of the woman that we want to be. What does that woman look like? What does she feel like? What does she experience? What does she like? So many of us don't even know what we like. What do you like to do? What do you like to eat? You know, how do you want to be treated? How do you want to be seen? How do you want to be experienced? First of all, we have to figure that out. And then, like, we tap into our power by really being honest with ourselves. Like, one of the biggest things for me was to really acknowledge that I get hella jealous. And I have the propensity to be, like, super possessive. It was huge because that was the thing that, like, I would hide from other people. Like, I'm not jealous, but I would still be feeling it and experiencing it within myself. And so I'm like, I'm not doing myself or anybody else any favors by lying about how I feel. And, like, I'm doing myself a disservice by pretending like I'm not who I am and I don't feel what I feel. I can't move through the jealousy and possessiveness, and I can't heal the traumas that cause the jealousy and possessiveness if I don't acknowledge it.
Right.
And so we have to go within ourselves and really figure out, who am I? How am I? And what traumas are there? What things do I need to heal within myself? And what do I need to do to get that healing? You know what I mean? Because some of it, you know, you do the work yourself, and then something else, you might need some help facilitating that healing. Like, that's what we do in our groups. That's what I do in my relationships. You know what I mean? Like, everybody is a reflection of something, and they're playing a role that we've assigned them. So there might be people who I've assigned you to play the role of trigger. You know what I mean? Like, that's your job in my life, is to trigger me. But the thing about it is, it's not about you. I'm not getting upset with you because you trigger me. I'm looking at, what are you triggering? And I need to go into that trigger and start to, you know, dig out the root and then heal that. That is how we sit in our power.
So, you just said something about acknowledgement and honesty, and that's something that I think women struggle with sometimes, because with honesty, again, comes accountability, and then you have to make that choice. How do you support women in making that choice and deciding, hey, I want to transform. This is no longer working for me?
The first thing that I tell my clients is wherever you are, however you are, that is fine. Like, and I think that so often we are, we're hearing constantly that, no, you shouldn't be jealous. No, you shouldn't be emotional. Like, you're doing too much. Get out your feelings. No, get in your feelings. You know what I mean? And so the first thing that I do is tell women wherever you are, it's fine. Like, there's no problem. Like, if you want to cry for an hour, like, let's do that. However you feel, wherever you are, whatever you desire, it's fine. It is our judgment. It's not even the judgment coming from outside of us. It's our judgment that makes it unacceptable. And so that's the first thing that I tell women. Let's work on the judgment. You tell me who you want to be, and then we're going to alleviate the judgment of that, and then we're going to move into that direction.
Okay, I'm not going to ask you any more questions. It's in you'll give away too many goodies, and then but I'm going to have to cash app you later.
Listen, because I'm like, let's go, let's get it right now. Like, let's get into it. I love this, like I truly love like the empowerment of women. That is my passion, is helping women, fostering their growth from where they are to where they want to be. Like, that is my passion. So I'll talk about that all day.
Yes. I love it. I love it. Let's get into the space that how we connected. We connected in the Butterfly Room.
We did.
Via PLA, and both of us are Progressive Love Academy coaches, feminine power coaches, and we've been working together for the past year. I've been assisting in the group, and now I'm an assistant facilitator for the Butterfly Ascension program. I want us to talk about how, I guess, what the Butterfly Ascension program looks like, and how it can support women in stepping into their femininity and their feminine power.
The thing that I love about the Blue Butterfly Ascension program is that it's broken up into these 4 quarters, and you go to such depth. Like, you really go into the depth of each subject, each topic, each teaching, and you have this focused, energetic attention on you as the woman who is, joining the group, to really help you dig into the depths of yourself. And you're digging into the depths of yourself in order to ascend. That I love. That I love. So you are going from, what feels like, because when you start to dig into these things that you have, shoved all of this dirt on top of, that can be so super painful. But you're going from like the very depth, to the very height. Like, I cannot wait to see these women at the end of this 365 days, because I can just see, like that propulsion, you know what I mean? Like, that is what I feel the Ascension program is going to do. It is literally going to propel these women into an ascended position where they now have ownership of, their power and their femininity and their sexuality. And they know that they can walk this earth however they want to, in whatever way feels good to them. Like, I feel like that is the end result of, the Butterfly Ascension program, is just this knowledge of yourself that you did not have before, this knowledge of your femininity. We don't know what feminine is. You know what I mean? Like, we're being told by a bunch of men what feminine is, but feminine is different for every woman. You know what I mean? Absolutely. So you'll own your femininity, you'll own your sexuality, and you'll not allow anybody to tell you that's not how your sexuality should look. Listen, my sexuality looks however it looks. How about that?
Yes, I love it. I love it. So what I want to do is because our time is over. I told you only 15 minutes. I'm only going to use 15 minutes of your time. But how can women and men, if they need their wives or partners to get in touch with you, how can people get in touch with you this book is on Amazon. Let's just talk about that.
It is. The book is on Amazon, and also CorinaNare.com is my website where you can go and you can learn about my coaching practice. You can sign up for coaching. You can also see the products that I have to include the book, and also find me on Facebook, Corina Nare, and Instagram, @Chocolate Goddess.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you. And I will say, we forgot to mention that you also have Corina Naturals.
Yes.
Your products, your body products, which I have not gotten a chance. The pandemic happened, I didn't get a chance to order from you. So, but everybody else is telling me that they are amazing and fabulous. So I need to make sure I get some butter from you, and I'll also share.
I got you.
But it was lovely sitting with you today, and
it was so good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love talking to you.
Thank you. I love talking to you too, and I hope, ladies, that you all get a chance to check out the links for the Butterfly Ascension program. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me at Black Vibes Coaching or at I Want My Ivy on Instagram, and I'll make sure I place a link for Corina's book and the Butterfly Ascension program in the description box. Thank you guys for joining us, and we hope to see you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Corina. This was awesome.
This was awesome.
This was awesome.